大家好，我是刘家豪, and welcome back, guys, to another video. So this is just a video of me walking through downtown crossing and Chinatown. Uh, it's nice. I'll be honest, I enjoyed. It's a not too bad from of a walk from Boston Common to Chinatown. Including like my little shenanigans that I do along the way. I spent I think 6 minutes. So like literally the whole video is just me walking, and then once I get to royalty, that's when the video ends. That's the whole video. And I just want to talk about the a couple things. For one, I really enjoy walking, like especially like this type of environment. Two, it's always something to look at. This is just a video about my experiences of walkability, and I don't think I've ever had like a really bad type of experience, walking through through Boston, uh especially when compared to say when I am in the suburbs. When I'm there in the suburbs, it's not that nice. I'll be honest, I really don't like it there, especially when if I'm traveling. It's just it feels really dead, like look at this, Downtown Crossing feels very lively. Even if there weren't as many lights, because like the Christmas decorations that they're still up, even without those, I think it's still a pretty nice place. I think it's much better when the snow's out because then I can walk everywhere without, worrying about stepping in a puddle and then getting my shoes all wet and soggy. Because oh yeah, also this is the fire truck came. I don't know what's been happening recently, but like today, right? I've seen like three already. I think there's something going on with like something electrical because they did stop by near my school as well for that. Um, yeah, like they stopped right in front of Primark, so who knows? At least I didn't smell any smoke. I didn't see any smoke either. So I don't think there's too much to be concerned about. Probably someone put the fire alarm or something. It's Primark. I don't know. It's definitely not something cooking. Um, so yeah, I'm literally just walking down the street and enjoying enjoying the scene, seeing people. I don't have to talk to people, but like, just seeing other people, I think it helps feeling alive. Oh yeah, and there's the old payphones. Yeah, we still have that. We still have some locations in Boston that we just kind of left there. There is another one that is in Chinatown, though it's not in the same condition. It's much. I think that one in Downtown Crossing is much nicer. Like everything just feels like on a human scale. The only problem I have with with cities is when they start building the skyscrapers. Like here in Downtown Crossing, right? Things are they're kind of high, but they're not super high. You know what I mean? I think the highest is probably 15 floors, which even for me I think is like a little bit over. I'd probably not go no higher than 10 feet, I think. Sorry, not 10 feet, yeah, 10 floors. And like look at that. They're all like about the same height of building, but like it still feels like they have, its own character. There's the diversity in the architecture, in my opinion. And in some of the buildings, right? There are like different, like some of them have a couple more levels than the others, and it gives like that type of change in sight. Oh yeah, I waved to the guy. I waved to the construction guy. I don't know. Sometimes when I get recording, I get a little bit crazy and I do those type of things. In a good way though. I think that's a good thing. Um, I mean, other than the exception of like parking lot, like these lots and stuff where like there's no lights, um, it's just like it's nice. I don't have to worry too much. Downtown Crossing is like one of my favorite places to walk through because like the whole place is like to us, as a pedestrian. You don't have to worry about a car coming in up until up until like that turn, right? Near the CVS or right before the theater area. in around Paramount. That's all for pedestrian. The only time you'll see any trucks and stuff is for emergency vehicles, like you saw the fire truck, or for elderly services, which they will come, and they always go at slow speed. So unless it's emergency, of course, then they're gonna speed down. That I can understand. Um, so you know I walk. There's no reason to take your car. Why take your car when you can walk, especially in this type of place? Like in some areas, I can understand like it's not that pleasant to walk through. If you saw earlier, we saw the windmill store. That used to be a that area. There used to be a fabric store. I was there for the last couple of days when they closed. I know my sister, she bought some fabrics there. When they're having like that sell all area. And then there's the dragons. Oh my god, not dragon. The lion statues. I think they're nice. It's a really nice entrance. I liked how they closed off that area where you see like the green seating chairs. That used to be part of the road. It used to be the whole thing, right? It used to be one-way road, and now they closed off half of it and then left the other half right in front after the seating ends. That's just for parking only, and I think it's much more nicer. It's much more pleasant to look to be around too. Now sometimes I see some people skating there, and I'm kind of like, really? Do you have to really do that there? But I mean, what can I do? I mean, not much. That's Eldo, right? Eldo is really good cakes. If you ever want like you know a cake from Chinatown, you can go to Eldo. Eldo is pretty good. Um, and yeah, I'm just walking. The only, like I said, the snow makes it a bit difficult to walk around because it really tightens up the walking space, especially in Chinatown, right? In Chinatown, the sidewalks aren't as wide as other places in Boston. In some parts, it's actually wider, but for the most case, it's fairly small. And so when it snows, it feels more like it's a one, like you can only walk on one side. So there is some trouble on that end. Oh, and that place, I always go there in the morning for breakfast. Really, they have really good pastries in the morning. Um, Waka Waka is pretty good too for ramen. If you're over 21, you can also drink. It's like a kind of like a bar and noodle shop because they have like sake and I think soju. I think that's soju too, and I know for sure they have sake. Um, I think beer. I don't know. I can't drink. I can't order alcohol yet. So that's just my guess. And I went to Waka Waka like once anyways. China Pro, right? China Pro. That's the first China Pro. I know some Chinese diplomats went there before, like long time ago when they were opening up relations again, under Nixon. Right now, yeah. So one thing about Chinatown, always look up. You know, you see like the shops and stuff on the eye level floors. Sometimes when you look up, there's some stuff you've never seen before. Like today when I was filming this, I didn't realize some of the stuff that I saw. Now yeah, and here so I'm like, where's royalty, and not bad. About 9 minutes for walking, and it's great. Like I said, for what's it called? Um, for Chapel, right? That's the original one. Currently, they're closed now because they're doing renovations. Good idea on them to renovate during COVID, though. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this nice little short video. Actually, no. No, you can easily take the train from Downtown Crossing to Chinatown, but you know, it's just so close. Why do you need to do that? Why do you even need to take a car? You can't even drive through Downtown Crossing, like from Winter Street, right? That goes that when the part where Winter Street and Tremont Street merge, which is where I began recording for this video. You can't drive there. The only time you can is for service and delivery vehicles. Same thing as any other entrance into into Downtown Crossing, and it's absolutely lovely. I love it. And this is my city, Boston. I hope that it stays this way, where you can be able to go anywhere you want so long as you have 2 feet, so long as you have the will to walk, to go out. You get your exercise, you get your enjoyment, you get that feeling of people. You feel the socialness, you know what I mean? Without you got to talk. I don't feel it doesn't feel congested either, which is great, and it doesn't feel desolate. It feels right in the center, perfect. And I think the only difference I'd say that we could have is just, allow the option for bikes. I mean, I think for the most part, I think we do have good social services, especially for disabled and elderly people, at least from what I've seen. And so I guess, unless with the exception of people who like, if you're a fully able-bodied person, right? You should be able to walk around, you should be able to see everything and not really have a major problem with anything walking around. I mean, I walked from Chinatown to Prudential before. I've walked from Chinatown to Back Bay to Prudential, in Copley. Uh, if I really need to, I could go walk to see a dentist or my doctor. I mean, if I really was really tired, or if I was in a rush, I mean, I didn't have the time to walk there, I still have the green line that I can use. And the green line, especially on Park Street, is very active. There's trains coming in every single minute. I did a mini challenge, which I should post soon, about me just trying to film every single train entering and leaving. And then once no trains come in, I just, stop the film. But it just kept on for like a whole minute or more. I was like, you know what? I surrender. I lose the challenge. It's nice. I like the Park Street station for the Green Line's nice. The Green Line in general is nice, I think. It's the nicest rail system in Boston. Um, and I mean, I couldn't ask for. I mean, I could ask for more. I'll be honest, I could. Add a couple more rail lines, add more bike lanes, make sure the bike lanes are grade separated. Especially for safety matters, and also get rid of the parking saving thing, whatever the heck it is. I know we have in Boston. It's the whole thing where like it snows, they can just save us parking space. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. We need that over with. That should not exist anymore. And also, have more blue bike stations and more blue bikes, of course. Having that more available, I think will really help. And also having a development that will cooperate between Boston as a municipality, also Boston as Greater Boston as a whole. Or in Boston, in like actual city alone, is 800,000 people. It's a pretty small city. But in the whole Greater Boston, it's 5 million, and a lot of it does feel disconnected. And I feel like we could do more to become a more connected, metropolitan area. And I think that will help in both sustainability, and also increasing walkability and accessibility, especially for those who are not as financially secure. Because a lot of stuff I feel like is financially insolvent anyways, especially in the current design of suburbs. There is ways we can make it better without having to just suddenly urbanize everything. We don't need to replace everything with 20-floor buildings. 20 floors is too much, even for me. Like John Hancock Building, right? It's like one of the tallest buildings in Boston. It looks nice for sure, but like when you walk next to it, it's very intimidating in a way. And you know, you don't need a dick measuring contest between who can build the biggest skyscraper because it's really dumb. It's a waste of money, and it ruins the landscape of the city, in my opinion. Like you can have maybe one, two, five. Let's say five, right? Five maximum skyscrapers, and the rest of it should be decently, leveled out between 15, 10, and maybe 6 or 8 floors. Because once you get to super, super high, right? The higher you go, you also lose that the societal feeling, like the feeling of being a social. Like like I said earlier, like you get that feel. I get that feeling, right? I feel social without having to say anything just because I'm walking amongst so many people, right? The higher the amount of floors you have in the building, the less you get of that. And then you become more desolate and isolated because of how high you are. The higher you are in the building, the less you'll see of people. And also the more expensive it is for rent, which is also a financial problem. And also the more maintenance costs because the higher you are, the more energy there needs to be in order to pump water, have fire safety requirements and basic maintenance. You know what I mean? It's an economical thing as well. It's you're gonna go broke building the skyscraper. Don't build the skyscraper. Instead of building an unfinished skyscraper of 50 floors, you can build like 10, 5-floor buildings, and you can also rent it out much cheaper. You can also, you're probably gonna even spend even less money on that, and because you spend less money, and because the maintenance is also much lower than a 50-floor building, you're also gonna have higher profits. So financially and economically and socially, right? Socially, it's just all the much better. And I hope that, these talks I'm starting to do more often as I live in Boston. I hope that this can reach out to you guys, whoever it may be. You could be in Minneapolis, you could be in New York City, you could be in like in Concord or Lexington or Hartford or Portland, Maine, or Portland, Oregon, or literally any city or any suburb that you see. And it's like, in the end, we're the ones that live here, you know? So we should be able to make the choices that I think we should, implement in order to have a sustainable life, but also one that we can still enjoy. Because we can still have both of those things. It's just that we have to understand the best way to do it. And I think so far, from what I've seen, what I felt, I think Boston is a fairly exemplar city. Not the best for sure, but it's on the right track. And I hope that this city continues to do so. I know all my complaints of the city, and especially recently, but I hope that we can get back on the right track, and I hope that we can actually move on. Evolve properly in the way that we should be, and the way I think is the best way. So that's my closing statement for this. I wish I had the same amount of talking time, video as I had talking, but from what I've been told, I'm a very efficient walker. So you're just gonna see the royalty thing in front. And 对不起, my apologies, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little talk of mine, and I hope that you know I think I sound fairly reasonable. A lot of people say these are very radical ideas. Some say that it's something that we can't do, it's can't accomplish, costs too much money, or it's was it like it's financially insolvent, or that we just can't do it, we shouldn't do it, it's not the American dream or whatever. But out of a lot of other ideas out there, I think I am fairly reasonable, and I hope that I've been able to reach out to someone out there, to try to at least try to see eye to eye, or at least to understand. I don't like we don't need commie blocks. We don't need those 20 floor, 25, 30 floor concrete stuff. Like that's not we don't have to do that. I think there are other solutions out there, and I hope that you understand that there are other solutions out there as well, especially in the type of media environment that we're in. Um, it's very um, it's not really open-minded in my opinion. I really don't think that it's an open-minded type of study in journalism. There are there have been some advances in a way, but not in the way I think that it should be. I feel like people are really clinging on still to the old Cold War problems, and as a result, we're unable to, evolve as a society. And I hope that one day, and hopefully very soon, we can evolve from that. Learn from our mistakes, learn from what the Soviet Union did right. You know, like Soviet Union did a lot of bad shit, but there are a couple. Like I'm looking at maybe I can name like maybe two or three good things the Soviet Union did, and we should analyze those two or three good things. Not all that, not the thousands of bad stuff they've done, but the two or three, you know. And we don't have to implement them the same way, but we should still see them as a possibility, you know, a possibility that if we have an opportunity to you know, as a country and as a you know, as a state, as a whole country, to be able to move on, you know, and learn from the mistakes of others. We don't have to make those same mistakes that they did, of course. We can do it our own way, but we should still have some sort of goal to reach towards. It may not have, like, we should have the ability to densify to some extent, but no one's asking to do, you know, Stalinist, like, you know, concrete blocks of housing, right? We have our own type of um, urban density housing. We have our own styles in the U.S. in terms of what housing can look like or what should look like, and we can still use those same ideas and principles, but just apply it to our own standards. And, like, we aren't the Soviet Union. We're the United States. Like, come on, this is our country. You know what I mean? You're crazy to think that we should copy them. We don't, like, yes, they have they have a really good they had like a really good transit system back in the Soviet Union from what I've seen, the photos and the studies, and we can still obtain that, you know, without having the whole authoritarianism and the whole killings and the whole, you know, with the whole police state and everything. Like, it's just, it's like the principle that I'm trying to aim for, right? In terms of what they did good in is they need to have some sort of density in the cities, right? For one, and for two, to have good and reliable public transportation, especially because, um, as you know, as goes on, I think there's a large wealth disparity in this country, and the only way to mitigate wealth disparity is social mobility. If you can't have that social mobility, then people can't be able to get out of their life, you know, their troubled livelihoods. They can't be able to travel. They can't be able to move. They can't be able to access jobs. And so, in order to do that, they need cheap, viable, frequent, and reliable transportation. And I think that's can only be done through the private sector. Sorry, public sector. My God, like, not everyone can afford to buy an old car or, you know, new car, old car, whatever. Not everyone can afford that, let alone paying insurance and paying for gas and everything. The MBTA, for example, right? If I recall, it's like $125, I believe, for this for a Charlie card monthly pass. Goes for uh, heavy rail, light rail, bus rapid transit, and all the buses. Only thing it doesn't include is the commuter rail and Amtrak, of course. And that's extremely cheap when you compare having to pay like $40 of gas per week, which is like about 120 to 160 minimum for gas every single week. At least that's based off of my car and my standards. Um, if you know, using 89% gas, um, refilling almost nearly a full tank costs about $40 right now for me, and it's much cheaper if I just take the train to commute instead of taking the car. And um, like I understand people. I'll talk about the housing a little bit. Now, I understand people like the idea of having a single family housing, or they like the idea of having that feel of privacy, but it doesn't. It's not good in the environmental viewpoint, right? If everyone lived in a single family house, we I don't even think we'd have enough land for everyone to have their own house, let alone the infrastructure to allow people to have a car and to run their car wherever they need to go. Like, it's just not possible. Mm. Like, we can still have single family housing, but if you look at a lot of American cities and their suburbs, it's like we're looking at like a minimum 50% of all housing being single family housing, maybe as much as 70 to 80%, 90% in the extremes actually. And so, and when you think about it, we have a lot of people renting, right? From what I recall, at least one third of all Americans are renting their homes right now. That's about 100,000 people right there. 100 million people. Oh my God, 100 million people right there. On top of that, we have a housing crisis where it seems like we have so much housing, yet no one can, for some reason, be able to find a home. We have a lot of homeless people as well. Like, if you've seen the prices for housing, it's extremely expensive. And the only way to properly, mitigate this is by building not only more housing, but also building it in, a more dense area. Because if you can't you can't make poor people to take their cars everywhere. You just can't. Like if all of a person's disposable income goes to just surviving, then they're not living. They're not, you know, they're not properly having a good life, you know. And the more disposable income someone has, especially from when you go from zero to like $1,000, right? That's a good thing. If you have more disposable income as a much more well-off person, it's not gonna affect you as much. And if you can suddenly, by adding public transportation, and public transportation that is reliable, frequent, and can get them to where they need to be, such as from their area that they live in to their job, or the area they live in to the grocery store, or to whatever extracurricular activities, or to, like literally anywhere. Or the other option is that the area that they live in is so walkable they don't even need to use a car. And for areas that are a little bit further, they can take public transportation. Like I can easily walk from my house to the school, from where I'm currently in Boston. But if I want to go to my doctor's office, I can just, take the green line and then go to all the way to I think Copley, or somewhere around there. And then from there I just walk to the office. I don't need a car. It's the whole system works fine. And so long as you have that proper density, you can reasonably live without needing a car ever in your life, let alone needing to drive. And at that point, the car becomes not a necessity for life, but more as a hobbyist commodity. Like there are a lot of people out there who love their cars, but not everyone wants to have the need to use a car to get to work. You know, it's like guns. Not everyone needs to have a gun on them every single day. But on the off chance that you do have the time to, to go enjoy your hobby, you go to, somewhere, and then you go have your fun. You go to the range and have your fun. You go out and you go hunt. Bring back the deer to back home. You know what I mean? It's like you have the civil rights to have access to both of these, of course, but it's not a civil right when you impose it on everyone else. In the way I think of it, there are some people who I think would still want to, drive to the work. Now, in the current way I think in Boston, you can still drive to work. It's going to be hell because of all the other cars trying to drive to work, but you can still drive to work, right? Now, if you had more viable public transportation, then the people who could care less about driving can just use the public transportation because it's more accessible, it's more financially better off for them, and they can get to work on a fairly reasonable time. They don't have to worry about delays, don't have to worry about being late, and so that means more space on the road for you. That's how I think of it. I benefit, you benefit, everyone benefits in their own way. And, you know, you can, like, in some areas I agree we need to not have cars, but in majority of areas, especially when it comes to more rural areas, you're gonna need your car still. When, in the urban area, I mean, as a daily need, I feel like that's kind of oppressive. Like mentally, like you have like the feeling of or compulsion to have to use something you don't want. Like I have my enjoyment, you know, for certain things, but if I have to use it, it's like, it kills the fun, it kills the enjoyment out of it. Like when I was a kid, I thought, cars were cool. I'll be honest, I thought cars were like, yeah, American freedom. And then now I have to drive to work, and it sucks. It sucks. If I could guarantee the fact that the buses would still be running by the time I need it, you know, I could reasonably use the bus. But I mean, not now. The MBTA has cut down the frequency of buses because of COVID. So there are issues if I want to take public transportation outside in the suburbs. If I want to get in, like, within, like, the core, Cambridge, Medford, Somerville, I think Watertown, actual Boston, um, and, like, like the north, like, kind of North Shore area, Newton too, I think too, and like BU, Boston College, like those type of areas where they have like, really good public transportation. No effect, no effect. There's like no effect. But in the suburbs, oh my God, like sometimes I'll see the buses, and it's like the distance between them is so long. If you miss one, you screw yourself over. It's Anyways. I think I've ranted enough. I don't think anyone's watching now. By the time I'm at the end, if you did watch until the end, thank you very much for listening. These are the rants I just leave unedited, yeah, unedited, and so thank you for listening in. Anyways, um, thank you all for watching. Please subscribe, leave a like, write down a comment and your opinions and thoughts. I I mean, I'm a small YouTuber, so whatever you guys say, I'll probably see it and I'll probably say something. So, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. 再见。